Right, Donald Trump's unconventional diplomacy, will it work? Joining me, Senior Advisor at Bondi Partners, former Howard Government Minister Peter McGauran. To Trump in just a tick, but let's start here. Has the government's economic roundtable been worth the effort?
No. Nothing emerged, Tim, that wasn't already predetermined or known to the government. And the big ticket issues, such as workplace reform, small business, cost of energy and productivity, weren't even on the agenda or not addressed. And taxation was kicked down the road. Government spending and government debt were shoved to one side. So we've seen all their set pieces before. The participants, either through their National Press Club addresses or their press releases or policy statements.
The Netanyahu-Australia spat, what's your assessment of this low point between our country and Israel?
It's deeply troubling because Australia and Israel have been long-time collaborators and allies. We share the same democratic and liberal civil society values. But the Prime Minister's brought it on himself. He has been too weak and indecisive, especially in the early days of the rise of anti-Semitism, and he's recognising a Palestinian state, which at this time is an endorsement of Hamas. It's the timing. You can't call for a Palestinian state, otherwise you are legitimising Hamas.
Australian Jewish leaders didn't welcome Netanyahu's intervention. In fact, they're urging both sides to calm the rhetoric. Was that understandable?
Yes, and perfectly sensible and right thing to do, because they're Australians first. But you will note they didn't necessarily disagree with Netanyahu's criticisms of Albanese, more the manner in which Netanyahu expressed it. If Netanyahu was more tempered, he could have said the same things, probably with more effect, but the criticisms were valid.
Those shots of starving people, pretty hard to watch.
Exactly, and that's why emotions are running high, and the whole loss of life in Gaza of so many innocent people of all ages is so distressing. But you've got to look at the cause of the slaughter, and it is Hamas. Hamas started the war with unspeakable brutality. They have used their own people as human shields. They're happy to sacrifice the lives of Gazans, even at this very moment, in their attack on Israel. So never lose sight that Hamas is the enemy here.
To the US President, the Trump diplomacy, it's unconventional. Will it work in Ukraine? It's been kicked down the road again, he says, in a couple of weeks' time. We saw everything that happened in Alaska.
Yes, eventually.
But that could take a while.
It could take a while, and that's the whole thing, Tim. I pray to God there will be peace within weeks, but it could be months.
Because the big thing here is that most that are watching it closely say that Putin can't financially afford another year and a half to 2 years of what's going on.
True. I agree with that. I do believe Putin will eventually be brought to the table to negotiate a peace with Zelensky and the Europeans, but it's in his interest to drag it out as long as he can, because he is making incremental gains on the battlefield, which strengthens his negotiation
He can't
position.
be trusted, can he?
It can't be trusted. He is a murderous despot, and Trump now knows that, but he will prolong the war, but Trump and the Europeans won't allow him to get away with it.
Well, here we are. We've got the pictures of the European leaders at the White House this week. What did you make of that event?
Very encouraging, because the Europeans are working with Trump and Trump's involving them. Trump acknowledges the limitations of his power. Plus, it's the Europeans who are going to have to police the ceasefire and eventual peace treaty. Trump's offering support, particularly air cover, which is essential. I did think so it was quite inspiring to see the 7 leaders of Europe work with the Americans. But there's one photo, if viewers can remember, where the 7 of them are arrayed in a horseshoe in front of Trump at his desk in the Oval Office, and the look of President Macron, he's glaring. He's very uncomfortable that the mighty French president is seated in front of the American president like an arrant school kid called before the headmaster.
Yeah, they are heady days, aren't they? I've never seen in all my time a news cycle quite like what we're seeing at the moment. It certainly does make a lot of news bulletin's hard to put together because there's so many stories. Peter, always good to chat. We'll do it again next week.
Thanks, Tim.